Everybody, Meg Ruler 31 here, back for FSI DFS. I will be breaking down the NASCAR Series Xfinity 500, not the Xfinity Series. The race for the Cup is entitled Xfinity 500. I know, confusing to me also when I was trying to do research. I was looking for all the Cup data and saw that everything labeled Xfinity and thought it was for the Xfinity Series, but it's not. Apologize, last week we didn't do a video. I completely lost my voice and couldn't talk, and then I'm kind of still a little bit sick, so fading away here tonight. TK and I just couldn't hook up, and I work early tomorrow morning, so just couldn't find a time to do it, so I'll be doing it solo here. Video has been cutting out every so often too, so if you lose the picture, no problem. You have the sheet up in front of you, and that's probably the most important thing. So it's a 500 lap race at Martinsville. I watched the truck race today. I watched the Xfinity race today, and I think I learned a lot about how playoff drivers are going to approach this. So just do a quick breakdown. So Kyle Larson here has won the last couple of races. He is locked into Phoenix. He is definitely advancing, no problem. So what's his incentive here? Well, there's a couple things. He's won, I believe, 3 races in a row here. They're not here, but like currently. So there was a point in the season where at Pocono, he was leading, had a flat tire. He had a chance to make NASCAR history and win 5 races in a row. Should he win this race, and should he win the title at Phoenix and win that race, he could still make history. So that's on the table there. I don't think that's a huge factor here. You get a grandfather clock. It's a pretty cool trophy. That's pretty cool too. But watching the truck race, John Hunter Nemechek started on the pole. He didn't actually get out too early. The second guy, Gillian, got out and had the better truck and led most of the race early on. And then we'll get to what happened after that. Same thing in Xfinity. Austin Cindric got out and led the race pretty much through stage 1 almost. And then same thing kind of happened. You had 2 guys win the race who absolutely had to win both races to advance, in Zane Smith and in Noah Gragson. They would have not advanced in the playoffs. Only 4 people advanced from this point. So you have Larson, who's locked in. You have Elliott and Hamlin, who have pretty safe leads. Nothing is bulletproof because John Hunter Nemechek did wreck early on, and he was kind of sweating it and only actually made it, I think, by like 4 points when it was all said and done. So he very easily, even though we thought he was a solid lock, could have actually not made it. I think Kevin Harvick had a pretty sizable lead and cushion last year too. Same thing happened, and he had bad luck in this race, and he, I don't believe, advanced to the final 4. But we did also see 2 guys in Austin Cindric and AJ Allmendinger in the Xfinity Series have pretty sizable leads and actually do really well in stage 1 and stage 2. And they banked enough points after stage 2 that they were locked into the playoffs finals. And then they just kind of, did whatever they wanted to for the final. It was great. Like Cindric was challenging at the end, wanted to kind of go out there and get that grandfather clock. Allmendinger just kind of, just tried to finish the race and just have a good evening there. So there's not a huge incentive. I think both Chase Elliott and Denny Hamlin could win this race, but I think there's so much more incentive for some other guys to win this race that I have to list these first 3 guys as GPPs. I don't necessarily say that you cannot play them in cash. I think one of them will probably get out and lead laps relatively early, but it could be any of them. So if you want to mix them in to cash, then that's fine, but I can't really tell you. Larson has had the dominant car, so if you want to capture like almost all laps led here, and there's going to be a lot of them in the first stage, I think Larson's the safest bet here. Martin Truex is in 6th, and between 5th, 6th, 7th, it's very, very, very close point wise. I think we're only talking a matter of let's see here. So we're talking a matter of like 7 points between Kyle Busch, who's actually in by 1 point over Ryan Blaney, and then Keselowski is 6 points back below the cut line. So these guys are super, super close. My guess is what's going to happen is they're all going to fight for stage points and try to just to have a better race than one another. But the thing is realistically, probably only one of these, unless something catastrophic happens to Elliott or Hamlin, is going to get in there. The other issue is if any of these guys, 4, 5, 6, 7, or 8, is leading the race and looks like they're going to win the race, then that means it shuts everybody else out. So it could be a lot of chaos. And what we saw in the Xfinity race is we saw that some of the guys that were super desperate, and there were more guys in the like 6, 7, 8 range that were like so many points mathematically out that they really couldn't nickel and dime their way into the playoffs or the final four, that they had to do something drastic. So what they did was there was caution. They did have a competition caution. Some of them were for like wrecks, and they might even do it under green flag. It depends, but they're going to pit before the end of stage 1 because, and I think the best bet for this is Joey Logano, just because he is so far down. 26 points is a lot to make up. But if any of these other guys are kind of struggling, get off to a bad start, get shuffled out of line, don't like the setup of their car or whatever, they are probably also going to do it. And what they want to do is they want to be the first car to that head pit when they hit that first stage break, because all the leaders are going to pit and then they're going to be in the lead. And what we saw was, even with the fresher tires, with how much like stop and go and heat cycles, they called them, with the cars coming up to speed and going back and forth with the restarts and like, not going very many laps and then it being like somebody spinning out and then have to rack them up and do it again. It really kind of equalized their getting their tires a little bit before some of the other guys. So the fresher tires, yes, they were able to get up through the field, but it was kind of neutralized by the restarts and just it being such a short track. Eventually the leaders catching traffic, and it's much harder to pass when you're weaving through lapped cars also. So that is why like Noah Gragson and Zane Smith and actually Carson Holsevar was out there for a while until he get turned around, and Stuart Friesen, like these guys that did this alternate strategy, it seemed to work in both races. I don't know in Cup, it's a much longer race, we'll see, but in the other 2 series that seemed to work. So I think Martin Truex Jr. is probably going to be the most popular guy. He's probably going to be the chalkiest driver, and he's got a really good history here, runs this track really, really well, has dominated here many times before. So I think he's definitely, probably the first play that you want to look for in cash if you're paying up. And surprisingly, I think Joey Logano would be my second guy that I was going to take if with these higher price drivers, just simply because I think Joey Logano has the most. He's been decent in here. Actually, all the Penske cars have been really good here. So Blaney would probably have been the best here, but I just think if Blaney being the best here, if he's able to get ahead out of 8th spot up into like maybe the top 4 or 5, he's not going to want to, especially in 5th place, if he gets past Kurt Busch, but just by 1 point, he's locked in. He's not going to want to try this backwards pitting he's want to continue to go for stage points, because he's going to be like in the number 4 position, and the only thing that's going to knock him out is if one of the other guys win the race. So I know it's really confusing, but it makes it very, very captivating, and to watch the whole race, it was pretty fun for both trucks and Xfinity. So Truex definitely in cash. I know he's very expensive, but I think he's got the best chance to win the race. Sorry, Joey Logano, I think, would be the one that's going to probably go out and lead stage 2 or so. He's the one that's got the most. Brad, maybe, but he's not as good in this package. And Kyle Busch has struggled here and there, but he's right on the line too. So it doesn't really make sense for he and Blaney to try to alternate their pit strategy unless something happens early, which knocks them back in the field, and then they're multiple points away from the cut line, and they need to do something drastic. So then we get to the non-playoff drivers. Kevin Harvick and Kurt Busch, I think they have a lot of experience here. I think they're GPP drivers. Stuart Haas has seemed to find a little bit of speed on these tracks. Eric Almirola won in New Hampshire. Harvick did well there. So I think they're okay there. Kurt Busch, again, knows the track. William Byron, I think I really like him in cash also. If you want a little bit of place differential and somebody, and maybe a pivot off Truex, he's okay in cash, but maybe more of a GPP play at his price. I think he usually does well these types of track. He's got a good pit crew chief who really will have that car set up and him prepared to run well here. Christopher Bell really excelled at these tracks in the Xfinity series. So I think he's one of my prime plays. I think he's going to be one of my core guys that I'm going to use with a couple cheaper guys that we'll get to down below here. And that will allow you to try to get some of these multiple 10K, maybe 11K guy, 9K guy into your builds. Alex Bowman, I think he's GPP. Wouldn't surprise me if he's in the top 10. All the Hendricks cars have been good here, but he's got a little bit of place differential, really not racing for anything, not super aggressive guy that looks like, he's going to go out there and try to win himself a grandfather clock. So I'm just going to kind of stay away from him. I think he's just going to be just part of the scenery there. Austin Dillon, like the price here. I don't think it's a bad track for him. I don't think it's like a great track for him here. So not like super excited about him other than the price. So GPP, if he fits your build, I'm okay with that. Chris Buescher, I like the price here also, but I think he's still starting a little bit too far forward. If I'm paying down for like 100 more, I'd rather take my prime play Corey LaJoie that I'm going to get to in a little bit. Ross Chastain, has done really, really well here. And I think he is one to this, like next three guys, I think you all can look at to sprinkle into your cash builds too. So you can try to get some of these higher guys up. There's really no like value punt guys that you're going to get here in Cup or anybody that's really like mispriced. And I'll get to that at the end when we get down there. But Ross Chastain has done really well in here in worse equipment. And I think at this 42 car, he can come out and have a good race here. It's a good style for him, a good track for him. But Wallace, this is his favorite track that he says, really loves to come and race here. Don't necessarily know that it's going to translate into a win or like a ton of success, but I think he can maybe get about 5 place differential points. I'm okay with him in cash. Tyler Reddick really seems to be another one that could do well here. He's run here in Xfinity. He's run here in Cup a little bit now, and I think that he's a bit expensive. So I can understand if you pass on him. He might be somebody that's a nice pivot off of somebody, or somebody that you might need to drop down to if you're trying to play like 2 11K guys instead of 2 10K guys, and then you can't like quite get the 9K guy in there. I think Tyler Reddick with a little bit of place differential would be decent there. Michael McDowell, he's a fade here. Just I know he's good at road courses, and that kind of translates a little bit. So maybe throw a dart at him, but still think he's starting a little bit too far forward here. Daniel Suarez, I'm sure if TK was on here, he'd say that he really likes him, but I think he's fine for the price for GPP. Same thing with Chase Briscoe. I'd rather take Matt Benedetto here. Like I said, the Penske cars have been decent here on this type of track. He's Penske, he still has something really to prove there. He doesn't have a ride for next year still. I don't think I haven't heard anything on him yet, and I would really love to see him win a race. I don't know if it's going to be today, but he might be one of the ones that stays out there that just tries to go wins this. And, there were several guys that did that just because they wanted to win the race and really didn't care about the playoffs. And we saw that both in truck and in Xfinity today. So he could be one of those guys that was really looking for the W. Eric Almirola, pretty expensive here, and I think he's priced up only because he won New Hampshire, and it's a kind of a similar flat paper clip style track, just like this one is. So I think that translates. Stuart Haas cars, like I said, looked really good here. I really don't think that helps Briscoe that much, but he, and I think, Custer, which is a cheaper version here, is definitely good plays. And Stenhouse, how aggressive he is he definitely could see him getting up there. He's okay with this style of track. I think he'll do well here also. So, I mean, you've got probably a bunch of cash plays in this range here that you can look at depending on what you're trying to get up top. So like I said, Custer at like 66, if you need somebody in the 7K range. I think Stenhouse is good there. Brian Priest is going to be one of my prime guys. He again excels at this type of track on these flat, oval, shorter tracks, and decent car, decent driver here. I think you definitely can get up into the top 20 into 6,200. That's a great price. It helps you get so many other guys into your lineup. So really like him there. Ryan Newman, I think he's just ready to ride off into the sunset. You get a lot of experience here. He's hard to pass. So that could end up getting him like turned by somebody that's trying to get by him because they're trying to win a championship or get into the championship. So I don't see that ending well. Eric Jones, I think, is okay here. The equipment's not the greatest. He did wreck in the last race, but I don't think it was his fault. It was just like a giant pile up that I don't think he could avoid. So starting position is good. Price is okay. I'd rather pay like 300 more and get Stenhouse or save the 300 and play Cole Custer over Eric Jones, but he's in play. And then finally, Corey LaJoie. I think he's definitely a prime play here. Top 20 upside on these tracks, so that's 9 place differential points. I think he can, everybody behind him, I don't think is going to pass him. He's been pretty consistent this year. Love the price at 6K, and I think that opens up a lot too. Below this, I don't think you really can play any of these guys. I think they're all fades. BJ McLeod has the experience, but I wish he was starting like maybe 35th or 36th, not 30th. Cody Ware, not interested in. Anthony Alfredo has a decent car, sponsored by Dude Wipes. That's quite interesting. When I saw the paint schemes. So he's a little pricey. Josh Bilicki, he is a good road course driver, so that translates well here, but it's a Rick Ware car, so beware of that. Joey Gase, not interested in. Justin Haley, he had a very disappointing Xfinity one. He was like 5th in the standings, really close to making the top 4, and then he had a brake issue and like his car was just garbage after that. So I don't know if they want to come out here and like try to redeem his weekend. So there's some potential there. 55, it's a little bit more than I'd like to pay for a punt, but if it works for you, it works. Quinn Huff, not interested in. Garrett Smitley, it's okay, but he seemed to break down a lot. And Timmy Hill, you never know what you're going to get there. Like he's fine in the other series, but it seems when the Cup, he doesn't really just have the speed, which we don't really need like speed and aerodynamics and everything here. It's pretty much, it's more of a driver's track. So I think that's kind of helpful for him, and he can't go anywhere backwards, and he gets the built-in bonus because there's only 38 cars in this field, and the DK pricing system's on built on 40. So even if he finishes 38th, he still gets I believe 2 points for finishing in 38th place, or 1, 2, maybe 3 points for finishing in 38th place. So he's not going to get negative. He's going to get a couple points there at 5,100. So, but I think these guys are very, very risky. But the way I'm going to approach the build is take Bell, take Priest, take Corey LaJoy, and then go up here and decide who I want. So I don't know if I really want to pay 11.8 for Larson being such a long race. He could get out there and dominate, but Truex has just been so good here that I might take him over Larson. But definitely looking at like Joey Logano here, Ryan Blaney. I think that those guys have been like very, very strong, very consistent at this track. And I think Logano is the one that's going to like flip the script and actually lead the second phase here of the race. And then maybe some people will catch him and pass him later on, but that at least he accumulated some lap leader points there, and he should still have a good finish or be fighting for one. So thank you for watching. If you watch the other two videos, we talked about, the other thing, incentive for some of these drivers is to finish well to get a good position for their starting position for the Phoenix race, because Phoenix race after this, the points don't matter. Is whoever finishes the top out of the four wins the title. And I found out that they're actually having qualifying. So TK and I will try to do, it might be like one combo video for everything, just to like have like an end of the year. Thank you guys for like watching these videos and everything with us. But it's going to be very hard to like actually do anything because qualifying is 2 hours before every single race. So it'd just be impossible for us to figure out what the order is, because we're literally only going to have like an hour. So it's going to be a mad scramble for these. Maybe qualifying, I know for trucks it's at least 2 hours beforehand. I'm not sure what it is for Xfinity Cup. Maybe they'll give us a day or something on that. If we have a little bit more lead time, we'll try to do something. So we'll just have to see when the schedule comes out how that goes. But we appreciate you guys watching. So hit me up, MegaAlert31 on Twitter. Leave some comments below. We'll do what we can to try to help you out. Just glad. Sorry to drink like 1,000 times during this, but just glad my voice made it through this so I could do this video tonight for you guys. And good luck on the race. And hopefully we'll see some green screens at the end.